All right, we are back here for another edition of the Minnesota Forecaster with Tom Novak. And surprise, surprise, we're going to talk about a potential snowstorm coming, I guess, Friday noonish into Saturday noonish is kind of what I understand it to be. Tom, why don't you give us an overview real quick of how you see things, timing and scope?
Yeah, well, first off, it may even come in a little bit sooner, so keep that in mind, Bill.
Okay.
I won't be surprised if we get a 1, 2, maybe even 3-inch snowfall Thursday night, so probably after sunset,
Okay.
6 to 9 frame on Thursday, snow for a few hours, be probably a real tough morning commute on Friday. And then, of course, the real system would hit Friday afternoon, and then overnight Friday and Saturday morning should end by about noon Saturday, the way it appears. But lots of blowing and drifting because winds will pick up, especially on Saturday, and it's going to be a dry, fluffy snow, easy to move around, 20-to-1 ratio for the most part, whereas usually a snowstorm is a 10-to-1 or 15-to-1 snow to liquid ratio. This one's going to be 20-to-1, which means easy to fluff up, easy to accumulate. So,
Yeah. So Tom, where is the storm now? Is it actually is it still off the where is it?
yeah, well, that's the big problem, right? And that's probably why there are still question marks for many forecasters out there, because this storm hasn't come ashore yet. It comes ashore on Thursday, so tomorrow morning. By tomorrow morning, all the shorter range computer models, the NAM computer model, the WRF, all that stuff, HRRR, they'll start to latch onto the storm, Bill, and we'll get a lot better idea come tomorrow on what to expect. But the consensus, the model consensus between the European model, Bill, the American model, the Canadian model, all these good medium to long-term model guidances, the consensus has been so good that our confidence level is sky high that an accumulating snow is going to hit southern Minnesota and all of Wisconsin.
Wow. So is it going to come in over California or farther north?
Yeah, coming in right off the Northern California coast. And then it'll come into the Intermountain West. That's usually how this all happens. And then when it spills into the plains, that's where we start to really panic because we don't know where this storm is exactly going to track, right? The initial thinking now is that it'll be tracking surface low now, tracking from northern Missouri to just south of Chicago. Okay, that's not your classic.
Right, Tom. That was a question I wanted to ask. A lot of people, I think, have been wondering. It seems like the storm track is farther south than usual, yet you're still, predicting a hefty amount of snow. And can you explain why that is?
Sure, yeah, I can, Bill. And in fact, what you're looking at now is really the main reason why I have confidence that we're going to have snow here in southern Minnesota, even though the track of this storm, the surface low, may track from, let's say Kansas City to Champaign, Illinois, and then on to Indianapolis, okay? What we're looking at, Bill, is the 850 millibar temperature and wind map. This is from the NAM computer model. And what I want you to focus on is what's going on out here in Nebraska, okay? So let's get our geography all set here. Here's Nebraska, here's southern Minnesota, here's Wisconsin, here's the Twin Cities Metro, all right? So look at what's happening out in Nebraska. Here looks to be some warm air advection, Bill. That warm air is going to be going up and over our cold dome of air. This will be Thursday night. And that'll start to create some snow in southern Minnesota. But watch what happens out here in Nebraska, eastern Nebraska and Iowa. Hopefully you can see this, Bill, but there's a circulation right here.
Yep.
This would be the northwestern corner of Iowa. That's what we call a mid-level low-pressure system. So at 850 millibars and at about 700 millibars, there's this pinwheeling low that is going to cause an issue for us here in southern Minnesota because we like to look to see where this low pressure tracks to see where the snow, or at least the heavy snow band, is going to set up. The heavy snow band usually sets up where a mid-level low tracks. Okay, so here it is in northwestern corner of Iowa. This would be Friday evening, and then watch what it does. Hopefully you can see that. It tracks right across the Minnesota-Iowa border as we head through Friday night and then into Saturday morning, all right? So even though the surface low may track from Kansas City to Champaign to about Indianapolis, It's the mid-level low in our at the 850 and 700 millibars that's actually going to be the snow producer for much of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, snow totals. And this is the European computer model, Bill. Like I had mentioned, this is a lot of consensus between the model guidance on where the snow is going to fall. This is by noon on Saturday, okay? And you can see the European model is cranking out 5 to 6 inches of snow over southern Minnesota by noon Saturday. Now, here's what's important, and this was actually mentioned on the Minnesota Forecaster webpage, Bill. This is a 10-to-1 ratio in the snow to water, all right? So really, since it's going to be 20-to-1, the snow-to-water ratio over southern Minnesota, that means we can double these totals from what the European model is printing out. So 5 inches is really considered to be about 8 to 10 inches is expected over southern Minnesota, at least if you were to believe the European model forecast, model guidance.
I'm surprised they can't create a model that takes into account the ratio.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they probably have that, but I didn't have access.
Okay.
So if anybody out there has access to a 20-to-1 snow ratio on the European model, let me know where it's at. I can't find it. But here's the GFS computer model. This is 20-to-1 snow ratios, okay, or at least 15-to-1, somewhere in there. They factor it in, and you can see right in the Twin Cities Metro, right at about MSP International, they're thinking about 10 to 11 inches on the GFS computer model. That's by late Saturday.
It looks like it's right over Gate D.
Oh, it is. It's almost a perfect snow access from right around Brookings, South Dakota, through the Mankato area to the southern Twin Cities Metro, and then on east to near Milwaukee and Green Bay. Very similar, Bill, if you remember back to last weekend. Very similar area.
I can't remember much these days, Tom, but I do remember last weekend. So.
Yes, yes. Now, here's the Canadian model, Bill. So now this is the third model guidance that we're looking at. And look where it's got the snow. Exact same area. It does extend it further south into Iowa, which I think is a little bit aggressive. I don't think the snow is going to, at least the heavy snow, is going to get that far south. But regardless, screaming message is that southern and central Minnesota and all of Wisconsin is going to get a healthy 6 to 12 inches of snow, some places even more. And look at this. The Canadian model is cranking out near 20 inches of snow in south central Wisconsin near Madison. Again, a little aggressive, I think, but I won't be surprised if we get some eye-popping snow totals as we head into Saturday morning and afternoon when we start tallying up the snow. And Bill, this is another reason why I'm extremely confident in snow. This is the jet stream, and this is from the NAM computer model. And Bill, we always talk about these jet streaks, right?
Yep.
And here's one jet streak, and let's get our geography all set again. Here's southern Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul, Wisconsin, and then here's Colorado, okay? So we've got a jet streak just north of the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, all right? And we have another jet streak coming into Southern California and nosing in towards Denver, Colorado. In between these two jet streaks, Bill, is where lift occurs in our atmosphere. It usually occurs at the right rear quad of a jet streak and the left front quad, okay? Which means we are right in the middle of those two areas. Getting a little in depth, but it's very important that people kind of understand this when it comes to how important the jet stream is. All right, and this is Friday evening, Bill. And let's just go back to even Friday morning, okay? Here's Friday morning. The jet stream really doesn't move very much. It's still kind of in that same position where we are near that right rear quad of the jet. And then it stays that way through Saturday morning. Here's Saturday morning. We still have fairly intense lift over eastern Minnesota and Wisconsin on Saturday morning. And then finally, that moves east. So that comes Saturday afternoon and evening, the snow basically comes to an end. But that's one of the reasons why I'm so confident in having snow over the upper Midwest over the weekend.
Tom, this is really amazing, it seems to me. I mean, from, last Sunday, you were feeling confident and things really haven't changed. They've only solidified, right?
They have, and I've been really, really impressed, Bill, with model guidance as of late. I think we mentioned this in our last video that we had together, but model guidance has been fantastic. The last several snowstorms, in fact, this whole fall and into this winter, model guidance has been right on. So there are times when we knock model guidance, but right now I think we need to give them a round of applause because it's really helped out. Yes, it's really helped out us forecasters when consensus is there between all the guidances. And it's certainly there with this snowstorm. So, hot off the press, William, right here. Here are your snow totals expected by Novak Weather. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, and I won't be surprised if some of these totals go up a little bit. Okay. In fact, I would expect totals maybe to inch up a little bit more than they would go down, even though we're still 2 to 3 days out. Now, that's going out on a limb, and I'm probably going to be eating crow on this one. But I just get that funny feeling that this is going to be kind of a blockbuster for much of Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, here we go. At least 6 to 12 inches of snow from about Brainerd on south to the Minnesota-Iowa border. And then I'm thinking a bullseye, somewhere in from about Mankato through the southern metro of the Twin Cities, Rochester, La Crosse, and then, of course, on east into much of Wisconsin. That's where I kind of consider that bullseye to be. And down here, this ice area, Bill, that's in Iowa and in Illinois, and then it extends east into Ohio. Yep. That's going to be a serious ice storm down there. That's going to make some headlines.
Really?
Right? Anyway, for us, this is what I'm thinking. And I won't be surprised if some areas in the bullseye, wherever that eventually sets up, we might start measuring some totals in the 14, 15-inch range.
It's interesting, Tom. I looked at the National Weather Service has a sort of an experimental product where they give the percent chances of different snowfall ranges. And basically, the last one I looked at, it was kind of 50% was over 6 inches and 50% was under 6 inches. The cluster was from 4 to 6 and 6 to 8. So you seem a little bit more confident than their experimental modeling suggests.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm a bit more optimistic for heavier snows, mostly because I expect it to start a little bit sooner. So that means the Thursday night period, I won't be surprised if we get 2-3 inches of snow, all right? And
Yeah.
I'm very confident that much of southern Minnesota and Wisconsin is going to get 6 inches of snow, at least.
Tom, I admire your confidence.
Yeah, I just feel if we weren't going to get that little bit of snow late Thursday, I would probably put these totals down a bit.
Yeah.
But I just get a funny feeling that this is going to be a long duration system where we get a couple of waves of snow, one smaller wave, and then of course the big wave Friday into Saturday morning.
Okay, Tom, let's say it's Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock, and things are ending and it's getting even colder, and the Twin Cities only gets 3.2 inches of snow, let's say. What would have happened? I know I'm asking you to think about something that is pretty impossible in your mind, right?
Right. That better not happen.
Okay.
Okay, here's what I would tell you. That means that mid-level low didn't develop like what we thought it would.
Okay, that's fair
Other
enough.
than that, I can't imagine why we're not going to get hit hard.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, or should I do a little plugging of our website and Twitter accounts?
Plug it, baby.
All right. So let's see. For you, Tom, you are on Twitter at Minnesota Weather.
No. Novak.
Novak Weather. What am I thinking? I saw Minnesota Weather somewhere too. Okay.
That's Twitter and Facebook. Just type that into Twitter and Facebook. You'll find me.
Novak Weather. Okay.
Yep.
And Minnesota Forecaster, we on Twitter, it's MN Forecaster, and then it's Minnesota Forecaster on Facebook. Because I'm trying to diversify, keep that social media stuff going in different realms. So check us out on all those places.
You got it, buddy.
All right. Maybe let's see. Today's Wednesday. This might be the last pre-storm video, or
yeah, maybe we can do one on Friday as it's hitting, huh?
Yeah, that little nowcasting is always kind of fun to watch things develop, and you'll tell us if something doesn't happen here, it means this, or because this has already happened, it means this. That's kind of fun, I think.
I love it, Bill.
All right, we'll do that.
All right, later.
Take it easy.